Imagine this for a second. It's 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. You pick up your phone, and there's an email sitting there from your employer. It says, "We're restructuring the company. Effective immediately, your position has been eliminated. Your services are no longer required." And that's it. 4 years of hard work and loyalty just gone in less than 30 seconds. Section 1, the one paycheck risk. Understanding your hidden financial vulnerability. So picture this. Your mortgage payment is due next week. Your kid's school tuition is coming up. Your credit card bill is just waiting there. And the money sitting in your checking account? Well, it might only last you a week. You put the phone down, and maybe for the very first time, you realize your entire life was balanced on one single paycheck. So here's the really big question. If your income disappeared today, how many days could you actually survive? And I don't mean how many days you hope you could survive. I mean how many days for real. Because the truth is, millions of Americans are living with this invisible financial risk every single day. They work hard, they earn decent money. From the outside, they look incredibly successful. But one unexpected event, one layoff, one recession, one sudden medical emergency, and the whole thing starts falling apart. Today, I want to introduce you to two people. Now, both of them earn exactly the same salary. Both have very similar lifestyles, and both absolutely believe they're doing just fine. But when life suddenly changes, only one of them actually survives financially. And by the end of this explainer, you're going to understand exactly why. First, let's meet Ryan. Now, Ryan is smart. He has a very stable corporate job earning about $6,500 every month. For him, every payday feels super exciting. There's a new smartphone, weekend trips, nice restaurants, designer sneakers, all those streaming subscriptions, a newer car. He just tells himself, hey, I'll always have another paycheck coming. To Ryan, life is meant to be enjoyed today. Saving? Well, that's something he's going to do later. Now meet Sam. Same age as Ryan, same income, lives in the same city, but he has a completely different mindset. Every single month, before buying anything extra, Sam quietly pays himself first. He builds savings. He spends time after work learning new skills. He slowly creates another source of income on the side. And honestly, nobody really notices. His friends even laugh at him sometimes. They're like, come on, Sam, stop worrying so much, live a little. Even Ryan jokes, man, you're way too boring. But Sam just smiles. He doesn't argue, and he definitely doesn't try to impress anyone. Because while everyone else is out there chasing appearances, he is quietly building something far more valuable, a system. And here is the truly interesting part. At this very moment, neither of them knows that their lives are about to change forever. Section 2, when the crisis hits, the reality of a sudden economic shift. Then, literally without any warning at all, everything just stops. Businesses shut down, offices close their doors, big projects get canceled. The layoffs begin. Suddenly, the entire economy feels incredibly uncertain. And then Ryan receives another email. But this time, his paycheck stops immediately. Within days, the bills begin stacking up. The mortgage, health insurance, utilities, groceries, the credit cards. You see, everything still needs to be paid, even though the salary is completely gone. At first, Ryan doesn't tell anyone. He just keeps pretending everything is okay. He smiles around his family and says, hey, don't worry, I'll figure something out. But late at night, when everyone else is asleep, he sits there alone, just staring at the ceiling, wondering, how did I end up here? Because deep down inside, he knows the hard truth. He spent years building a lifestyle, but he never built financial security. And honestly, that realization hurts way more than losing the job itself. Section 3, foundation and multiple incomes, building the safety net. But here's what makes this story totally different. While Ryan is absolutely drowning in stress, Sam's phone starts buzzing. But not with bad news, it's buzzing with payment notifications. A freelance client just sent money, a digital product he made just got another sale, and his emergency savings? Completely untouched. Now this side income isn't massive, but it's enough. It's enough to stay calm, it's enough to pay the bills, and it's enough to think clearly instead of panicking. One evening, Ryan finally calls Sam. He just asks, aren't you scared? Sam pauses for a second, then calmly replies, why would I be? I didn't build my life around one paycheck. I built a system. Ryan doesn't really understand that. And hey, maybe you don't either right now. But over the next few minutes, we're going to uncover the 7 financial habits that quietly protected Sam, while everyone else was just hoping nothing would ever go wrong. And this first one is probably the most boring financial advice you'll ever hear, which is exactly why almost nobody actually follows it. Before we get to investing, before building wealth, before chasing that dream of financial freedom, you need one thing first: protection. Habit number 1, build an emergency fund before you invest. Now, most people do the exact opposite of this. They rush right into investing. They buy individual stocks, they open retirement accounts, they chase those high returns. But when life throws them a massive, unexpected expense, they panic, and they end up selling everything at the absolute worst possible time. That is exactly what happened to Ryan. Every month, he was investing around $200. He felt responsible, right? He thought, well, at least I'm investing. But there was one huge problem. His emergency fund was $0. So when his paycheck stopped, he had literally no choice. He had to sell his investments at a major loss. Years of progress, just gone in a few days. Not because investing was a bad idea, but because he skipped the very first step. Sam, on the other hand, did things differently. Long before this crisis ever hit, he quietly built an emergency fund that could cover 6 full months of his essential expenses. He even gave it this funny little nickname, the boring account. Because, let's face it, that money wasn't exciting. It didn't buy flashy vacations. It didn't buy the latest gadgets. It simply sat there, waiting. Most people would look at that and call that money lazy. But Sam called it freedom. When everyone else was panicking, that boring account became the exact reason he could sleep peacefully at night. Here's the golden rule, guys. Security first, growth second. Because investing without a safety net is basically like driving all the way across the country without wearing a seatbelt. Which leads us to habit number 2. Never depend on one income source. Now, let's talk about something that truly changes everything. Just imagine if your job disappears tomorrow. Would money still come in? If your answer is no, you don't really own your income. Your employer does. Ryan never even questioned this. His paycheck reliably arrived every 2 weeks. Life felt totally predictable, so he never even bothered looking for another source of income. I mean, why would he? Everything seemed perfectly fine. Until it wasn't. Sam looked at money completely differently. He firmly believed that every single skill could become income. After work, instead of spending his entire evening binge-watching TV, he spent just a few hours learning. Little by little, he started offering freelance services online. Nothing super glamorous, nothing that was gonna go viral. At first, he was only earning maybe $100, then $300, then $500 a month. It definitely wasn't life-changing money, but during the crisis, that small stream of extra income became the crucial bridge that carried him through. Think about your own life for a second. Can you write? Can you design? Can you edit videos? Can you teach? Can you solve complex problems? Someone somewhere out there is absolutely willing to pay for those exact skills. Your knowledge can become an asset, and assets keep working for you long after today's paycheck is gone. Section 4. Real expenses and valuable skills. Protecting your greatest asset. Habit number 3. Know your real monthly expenses. Let me ask you a really simple question. How much money do you actually need each month? And I'm not talking about guessing or estimating. I mean the exact number. Surprisingly, most people have no idea. Ryan 30 spent around $3,000 a month. But then one weekend, he actually sat down and looked through his bank statements. The daily coffee, constant food delivery, a bunch of subscription services, impulse shopping, random online purchases, those little convenience fees. Just small expenses that really didn't seem all that important, right? Well, until he added everything together. His actual spending, over $5,400 every single month. He literally couldn't believe it. His money wasn't just disappearing, it was leaking out of a dozen tiny holes. Sam, though, knew his numbers, every single one of them. He knew exactly how much it cost him to survive each month, and that is exactly why building his emergency fund was so easy for him. He wasn't just guessing, he was actively planning. Because here's the reality, you can't control what you refuse to measure. If you don't know where your money is going today, you're never going to know where your future is going. And that brings us to the next habit, which might honestly be the most valuable investment you will ever make. Let's talk about something that no recession can ever take away from you, no market crash can erase, and no company can fire. Habit number 4, your skills are the asset nobody can take. Just think about it. Companies come and go. Entire industries change. Technology evolves at lightning speed. Jobs disappear. But the skills you develop, those stay with you forever. During every major economic downturn in history, one pattern always repeats itself. The people with valuable, in-demand skills usually recover much faster. Why? Because businesses are always going to pay for people who can actually solve their problems. Ryan had spent years becoming really great at one very specific job, but when that job disappeared, he realized something incredibly painful. His resume was tied to one specific company, not to his own actual value. He had totally depended on a job title instead of building a resilient skill set. Sam took a completely different path. Every single week, he invested just a few hours into learning, communication, sales, digital marketing, design, problem solving. He didn't try to master everything overnight. He simply focused on getting just a little bit better every month. And over time, those small improvements transformed into real opportunities. When one client left, another one appeared. When one project ended, a new one just began. His income wasn't protected by good luck. It was protected by his value. So always remember this: a paycheck can stop, but a valuable skill, that can keep paying you for decades. Section 5, Systems and Wealth Creation. How to truly build and keep wealth. Habit number 5, don't fall into lifestyle inflation. Now, we've got to talk about this silent financial trap that catches almost everyone. It's called lifestyle inflation, and here is exactly how it works. You get a raise at work, right? But instead of increasing your savings, you immediately upgrade your lifestyle. You get a bigger apartment, a newer SUV. You start taking more expensive vacations, eating at fancier restaurants, signing up for premium subscriptions. And before long, your expenses are growing just as fast as your income. So even though you are technically making more money, you don't actually feel any richer. And you know, that's exactly what happened to Ryan. Every single promotion brought new spending. Every end-of-year bonus just disappeared. Every raise created brand new monthly bills. From the outside, looking in, he looked incredibly successful, but inside, he was living completely paycheck to paycheck. Sam, however, made one very simple rule for himself. Every single time he received a raise, half of that increase went directly into his savings or his investments. Only the other half went toward improving his lifestyle. And that one single habit changed absolutely everything. Years later, even though both of these guys earned very similar salaries on paper, Sam's actual net worth was nearly 3 times higher. Not because he earned more money, but because he kept more of it. Wealth isn't built by what you make. It is built by what you keep. Habit number 6, passive income is built, not found. A lot of people out there think passive income is just magic. They imagine this scenario where money just shows up while they sleep without them doing any actual work. But reality is very, very different. Passive income is literally never passive at the beginning. First, you have to do the work, then the system works for you. Sam understood this really early on. He spent weeks creating a practical digital guide that solved a very real problem for people. He listed it online. That first month, maybe only a few people bought it. The second month, a few more. But then something really interesting happened. The sales just continued, even on the days he wasn't actively working on it, even while he was asleep, even while he was just hanging out spending time with his family. Now, it definitely didn't make him rich overnight, but it proved something incredibly important. A well-built system can continue producing income long after the initial work is finished. The real goal here? It's not about working less today, but rather building something that just keeps working for you tomorrow. And finally, there's one habit that absolutely separates the people who just survive financial crises from the people who actually create opportunities during them. And it really has nothing to do with money. It all starts with the way you see yourself. Habit number 7, change your identity before you change your income. This is arguably the most powerful lesson of all. Ryan always saw himself as an employee. Sam saw himself as a value creator. At first glance, it might sound like a pretty small difference, but it changes everything. When you think like an employee, you wait for opportunities to come to you. You wait for promotions. You wait for permission. You're basically waiting for someone else to decide your future. But when you start thinking like a value creator, you start asking entirely different questions. You ask, what problem can I solve? Who can I help today? What skill can I improve right now? How can I create value that people will happily pay for? That mindset shift completely changes the way you make decisions. Because wealth doesn't just disappear during a crisis, it moves. It flows toward the people who solve problems, create value, and continue learning. So I want you to ask yourself one honest question right now. If your paycheck stopped today, how many months of breathing room would you actually have? 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or just a few days? Your answer here isn't meant to make you feel guilty. It's meant to give you clarity. Because clarity creates action, and action creates real change. Section 6. Your new financial future. Preparing before the storm arrives. Fast forward 1 year later. As the economy slowly recovered, Ryan did find another job. But this time around, he wasn't the same person. His first financial goal wasn't buying a newer car. It wasn't upgrading his apartment to a nicer part of town. It wasn't taking some expensive vacation. It was finally building that emergency fund. Then he started learning a highly marketable skill. He began taking on small freelance projects after work. Little by little, he actually built a second source of income. And one day, Ryan asked Sam, "Man, when did you learn all this?" Sam just smiled. And then he said something that Ryan would never forget. He said, "I didn't learn these lessons during the crisis. I learned them before the crisis. Because when the storm arrives, it's too late to start building the boat. That sentence stayed with Ryan forever. And maybe, just maybe, it'll stay with you too.
So, let's quickly recap these 7 habits. Number 1, build an emergency fund before chasing investments. Remember, security always comes before growth. Number 2, never rely on only one source of income. Every single extra income stream increases your financial stability. Number 3, know exactly where your money goes each month. You can't improve what you don't measure. Number 4, invest in skills that increase your personal value, because those skills can continue paying you long after any job ends. Number 5, avoid lifestyle inflation. When your income grows, always increase your savings before increasing your spending. Number 6, build systems that can generate income over time. Passive income is created, not discovered. And finally, number 7, stop thinking of yourself as just an employee. Start thinking of yourself as someone who actively creates value. That one single shift can completely transform your financial future.
Final message here. The truth is, living on just one paycheck, well, that might have worked decades ago, but today's world is very different. Technology changes, markets change, jobs change. The people who truly thrive aren't always the smartest ones in the room. They're simply the ones who prepare before they have to. So tonight, before you go to bed, I want you to take out a physical piece of paper and write down this one question. If my income stopped tomorrow, what's my plan? If that question makes you feel a little uncomfortable, don't ignore it, use it, because discomfort is very often exactly where growth begins. Start small, save up your first emergency fund, learn just one valuable skill, create one additional stream of income. Just take one step and then another. Because a year from now, your future self might look back and realize that today was the day everything finally changed. Thanks so much for joining us. If you found value in this message, please share it with someone who really needs to hear it. Because one simple conversation, one decision, and one new habit can completely change a financial future. See you in the next explainer.